All right, everyone. Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of the Deer Gear Podcast. Today, Dorge and I have sat down on this April morning to talk more things archery. You guessed it. How you doing, Dorge?
I'm doing quite well. How's your vacation? And you can see I'm very tan.
Yeah, yeah. If you guys can't see on the audio, but Dorge is looking like he just spent a month in Florida catching snook. I
Well, actually, it is more like a dealer visit plus fishing.
yeah, yeah. Those are the best trips. I just
Yes,
spent
yes.
a week in Virginia and Maryland chasing turkeys around and got my ass kicked. To put it,
Well, that's normal. You must be chasing on public land. Remember, public land that means you need to know a lot of places and you're willing to walk more than others.
yeah, we did, I think like 56 miles in 7 days, and
Sounds about
there's
right.
five guys, none of us killed. It was pretty rough, a lot of people, but it was good to get
Well, next
away.
time you need to think about Central Illinois or actually near Chicago. You got a lot of turkey there. The biggest turkey I ever seen is in display conservation and also in displays. The biggest there, the DNR guy is a 34-pound tom.
Yeah, that's insane. Well, I'm on the
Hmm.
quest to kill a turkey in every state that you can hunt them in, so I'll be in Illinois sometime.
Cool. But you know what? I saw quite a few nice ones in Florida. Those are pretty ones.
Oh yeah, that's a bucket list hunt for sure.
Yeah, I mean the incandescent light of that turkey in Florida is serious.
Oh yeah.
But they're smaller compared to Illinois, just like the deer.
Yeah, they are. They're like a big one's like 15 pounds.
Yes.
Well, how many people do you know that hunt turkeys with a bow?
Quite a bit, to be frank with you. I mean, to be frank with you, when you get close enough, the turkey and the deer with the bow is not that different, to be frank with you. I mean, the skill level, I mean, yes, the turkey will respond faster, but I don't think that would be that big a difference.
Yeah, I think the problem is that, well, if you're in a blind, it's probably pretty easy, but if you are trying to get drawn on a turkey, I feel like that's going to be the challenge because of how well they see.
Well, actually, I can't say too much to it because I have not really done that many of them. Not like you got a few one on your back. I only
Yeah,
got one. That's it. I shot
I,
it with a bow.
I've only shot one with a bow, and I did it once, and I'll never do it again. I think I just prefer using my shotgun.
Yeah, actually, I shot mine with a bow in deer season.
Oh, okay, fall. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, what happened is that a whole bunch of turkeys showing up. I know they're walking past the thing, so I got myself fully drawn behind a spruce, and then I wait for the one I want to. I aim at the head and hit it with a broadhead on its beak, and it died instantly. That's how I
Perfect.
shot. I killed it.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, George, I think today what I want to do is talk. I want to rehash a conversation that I think is one overlooked and two very important. So we've covered this topic extensively in the past, but I know we have people that are new listeners here, and quite frankly, it's a topic that needs to be talked about more, and that is knocks. You up for
Oh
that?
yes. Oh, absolutely. That is something that just like my company name started with Firenock. I mean, when the Firenock was first invented, all the other people did everything. I did the computer. I didn't even did the knock, but I learned how critical the knock is. I would say that when everybody think of a knock of a bow, I need to them to think about tires on a race car. I think that's what they need to sort of view it.
Yeah, I think that's like the easiest comparison because there's two places on your bow that your arrow is touching. Your rest, your
Hmm.
string. There's only one place that is connected to your bow, and that is in the nock. And I think it's probably the most overlooked part of your arrow. They're like, ah, whatever nock comes with it, I'll shoot that, or I'm just gonna immediately replace it with a lighted nock that, quite frankly, is probably not that good of a design.
Well, actually, that was one thing that when I first come up with Firenock. Did I told you that I have 36 no, I have 16 independent claim and 36 dependent claim on the stupid patent. A normal patent have two independent claims.
Jeez.
Yeah, that patent costs a ton low more and more money. I should break it down into like 5 or 6 patents.
Yeah.
Except whoever helped me wrote the patent when I didn't write it. The first, I think that was the sixth patent, but the first archery patent I ever owned. And when looking back at that original patent, it's crazy. I mean, I got so much stuff in one patent. No wonder it take forever and a day and cost me over 60 grand for that patent.
Yeah.
The
Well,
filing fee is over 5 grand because it got so many. Because anytime when you file a patent, that more than two independent claim, you have to pay money.
yep.
Independent claim is the only thing that you're really concerned in patents. And the first part of the patent I have is about the throat of the nock. The throat of the nock is defined as the area that the string go into it. And most people do not recognize that was AMO standard on it. Original is 0.88 and 0.98.
That was the standard throat size.
Right, but that is also based on the original vertical bow, which is tiny. Think about it. You know what's the average size in US right now?
Like axle length?
No, the string serving size.
Oh, no, I don't. 120 thou.
You're pretty much right there, 120 thou. But some companies go all the way to 136 thou.
Like a zebra string or something.
So you do Martin. I saw Martin up to 136. But the normal the string size we at Firenock use was the number that I was given by one of the top shooters, which is 112. But I make the system to able to handle 125 in the case of a stalking.
It's just a little
Now
tight.
people say, "Well, that's a lot," because you think of a ratio. It's just ridiculous. But then also depends on strength. But then people don't understand the strength of the string, plus the serving based on the pressure is the OD of the nock.
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
So you can easily shoot a 24 strand, and then use thin serving, or go as crazy as 26 strand, and go with something like a 7,000 angel. But that would be hell to wrap though.
Yeah.
The thinner
So
the string will give you better, more speed, but that do not give you a more reliable bow.
probably a little louder too, huh?
No, actually heavier string is less loud, but you increase wind sound.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but that also make the bow more reliable because you got material to control the string.
That makes sense. So
Yeah,
let's start at the beginning. Let's start with um the material a knock is made out of.
well, that's a very good question because see, a lot of people think it's plastic. I mean, anything that is made of moldable is plastic. But do you know that right now we at Firenock we make 5 knocks that's not made of plastic?
The crossbow knocks.
Yes, they're crossbow knocks, then they're made of aluminum. Do you know why I make them out of aluminum?
I don't because of how fast the string's moving.
No, it's how much force you apply in certain time. See, plastic can only handle so much pressure within a certain time. And in the case of a regular knock, the that you need to think about it. The higher the let off, the longer the power stroke.
Yep.
No, the longer the duration of power. Sorry, I did say it
Sure.
wrong.
Yeah. So there let's focus on the vertical bows for a second. And
Sure.
the so you make Firenock only makes a translucent knock, and I'm sure that's for multiple reasons, but what are the benefits to the translucent knock that you make?
Well, there's only 2 companies on the whole planet who make knock out of single cavity, single mode. That would be we and Baita. Those
Which
are
mean
both single cavity.
which means every knock is made from the same cavity out of the same mold.
Right,
So there's
correct.
no variance from knock to knock to knock. They're all made out of the same mold.
Correct. Because see what happened is that when you do a flow mold, like a basic casting, and you do say because the casting machine is pretty big, okay? When you have more cavity, that means the flow of plastic from the injection point to your mold increases,
Okay.
and the variance from mold to mold increases, and the cooling ability from mold to mold increases, which also you reflect to the ability of the knot to flex increases. When I say flex, flex differently increases because the idea of using polycarbonate as a material for the knock so that the plastic flexes.
Okay.
Because if a knock do not flex, the only thing that will give is the serving.
Right. It has
And
to.
as in today's world, the higher the pressure serving, the more it does not give. So the knock has to give, unless they're dealing with crossbow. There's just too much pressure.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So um what is the benefit to the translucent knock?
Well, actually, there's no real benefit besides able to see it. The disadvantage of translucent knock is that as it ages, it get brittle. As ultraviolet went through it, it get brittle.
But
So
you're
translucent
but
really
you
do not have any benefit besides light.
but you're able to see if the knock is damaged internally better.
Correct. But then this is the bad part of translucent is that if you make knock out of plastic, in the case of white, blue, yellow, black, that's no internal damage. The only thing left is curing.
Sure.
As a polycarbonate, a lot of people do not understand is cured from the outside in. That means when it cures, when it comes to the molding, the outside is crispier, the inside is softer. And good knocks will maintain the best way to design a knot is maintain the wall thickness of the plastic all the way around to be the same thickness,
Sure.
as close as you can be. Now, for those who don't know how to test a knot, I would just sort of spell it out loud. If you have concern your knot plastic is not cured right, or the knot have been old, how do you tell? Hold your finger over the knot, press the two prongs together, let go. Press it again, let go. If it didn't break, the knot is in good shape. That's the easiest to tell. The moment you hold the knot and you go ahead and press the prongs, no, hold the prongs together and then squeeze it. And if the knots do not break, that's a good knot. You can continue to use it.
Knock. So I think one of the um things that people don't necessarily grasp or realize that there is a difference is on the design of the knock where the prongs actually let go of the string. Some knocks have
Correct.
a design where they kind of curve back in towards each other. And
Mm-hmm.
on the fire knock, if you look at the very tip of the knock, they kind of go away from each other to cleanly let go of the string. Explain that design.
Well, actually, the problem of the knot that is only to guide you to initially insert the knot. That is one of the patterns we have. We're offered that pattern. Is how the Firenock knot clean release the string. With high-speed camera, we discover a lot of string is actually what I'm trying to address is how many time and how consistently and effectively the string leave the knot. In other words, we are talking what I call a clean release or shear lock system. Okay, I want the arrow knot to leave the string in an instant and hold on to the knot as long as possible. That's not critical for a recurve because the power is constantly from the highest to the lowest point. Then the arrow releases. But this is actually more critical for highlight off. Think about it. The moment you relax your string, your knot pressure on the string is slightly, and then to the point of loose just before you pass the let off point. Then a horrendous of pressure is pushed onto the knot immediately, and it go all the way until the power plateau, and all of a sudden it's loose before the knot with the forward momentum release itself from the string.
Yeah.
That is where a knock become critical. Now I want to talk about the mode that everybody talk about. Even with a single carry, single mode, you got a knock. How many people take the time to learn the left and right of the knock? They're different.
There is a little tab on
Yes,
each
that is
one side.
always a little tap on the knock. That is to help you to differentiate the two difference point. Did every single person use the same injection point? Answer is no. But you need to find out the consistency because in most cases, the injection point is a one side of the prong of the knock to the other,
Yep.
which means that based on injection process, whichever the injection point is, the temperature will be higher compared to the export port or the
Okay.
ending port, which means that the entry port is always going to be slightly softer than the other. So they will bend more than the other.
So
Now,
from an
which means that
archer's
if you, sorry,
from an archer standpoint, all we really need to do is find that notch and make sure every arrow's notch is either in or out, however they decide to shoot that.
correct. But that's not have a really good reason because I learned that. Do you know why most of the arrow have a notch on it?
No.
Imagine this: you're in the middle of the hunt. The deer is now walking in front of you, and all of a sudden, you notice it's alert, and you just, for whatever reason, you drop your arrow. Oh, good example. Imagine this: you're ready to shoot that deer. Just when the deer come by, you stupidly bounce the arrow is now on the ground. Now the deer is fully alert. You're staring at the deer. Now you got to hold your hand towards the quiver. You're now staring at the deer. Do you know which way you put your knock onto the string?
If you feel that notch.
You need to feel that notch. That's the reason it's so critical.
Yeah, and on a spine aligned arrow, you want to make sure your cock vane or whatever,
Correct.
they all have the same orientation.
Correct. That's exactly why. Because you want to make sure if your notch is not aligned with every single arrow the same way, first of all, your spine alignment is not correct. Second, when you hold the arrow, you don't know which way. You may have to do that 180-degree turn and stare your arrow before you notch it.
Yep.
If you know your stuff at that moment, you can, if you hunt enough, you can do that thing automatically with your eyes staring at the deer and do it without looking.
Yeah.
You can feel it.
You know, the nock is such a funny part of the arrow build because it seems so simple, but there's so many, there's so much to it. And like as we continue talking, I remember things that you've taught me before. And another thing is the size or the length of the nock. So how far away the throat is from the end of the carbon. Talk about the differences there.
Oh yes, that was actually initially the reason that in the old days the knot is so big because the original knot design is based on original Mako knot. The Mako knot is also is pretty much the same concept as of the Eastern cone knot. In other words, what you do, you find the aluminum and you shape it until it's a cone. Then you got a cone shape. Then you put glue and you glue your knot on top of it.
Okay.
You know that's actually a very bad design.
Why's that?
See, this design only works if there's no power. Imagine this. You're going now. What is the knot sitting on? A freaking cone. You're going to apply force in the middle. When the plastic is not as strong as it needs to be, what's going to happen to the knot? It splits. It's
Yeah.
sitting on a cone.
Yeah.
And do you know? Do people know why in the old days there is a whole bunch of unit bushing coming from Eastern?
No.
Because back in the early 1990s, it cost hundreds and thousands to make a knot mold.
Oh Jesus.
And CNC and screw machine is easy. So you make a single knot and you try to find as many unit bushing to fit all your arrow sizes. Now let's go back, step back. Do you know, for the people who know, of course they know, But the people who don't, when you deal with aluminum, what does the number mean? Say 2219. It's 2264 of 1,000 OD of the shaft with the wall thickness as 19,000. So how many different size knock do you possibly need when Eastern make 2219, 2218, 2217, 2216, and so on for the size 22? And
Yeah.
then you have the 23, the 26, 27, and the ACCs.
You need a lot of knocks. Yet they
Yes,
cost that
that's
much to make
reason
a mold.
correct. That's reason in back then Eastern make two knocks, the S knock and the G knock. And then of course there's pin knock. So technically they use the aluminum bushing to fit every single size because it's easy to machine aluminum bushing.
Sure.
That's the reason the unit bushing comes out as one of the problem to solve the knock, but they also create a problem.
The bushing
Aluminum
does.
back then, unless you use really good machinery, how do you guarantee the unit bushing to be indeed perfectly round
Yeah.
on in and out, the OD and ID before the knock put on it?
Yeah, that's some serious machining.
Well, that it's not a civil machine thing. It's they didn't use they in most cases the aftermarket do not use the best machine, which cause a lot of knot, bushing not to be concentric, which is like not squaring your arrow when you put a knock on.
Yeah. And that causes all kinds of problems.
Oh yes, that means from arrow to arrow, from knock to knock. You can't trust any of those.
Yeah. But let's go back to the actual size difference of the different
Yes,
knocks.
yes. Well, like I when I first designed the S knock, I followed the industrial standard, like what the Eastern did, what Carbon Express did. Because those are the two knock. The Eastern is the G knock, the Carbon Express, the what they call it the Ascended S knock, and all
And
the rest of
that's
the company.
the standard diameter knock.
Correct. Would I ever make a better standard diameter knock? That was a question I always have asked myself because we got so many of them. I think on the next round, I may go one route because see, as I designed the A knock, which is this was called the A knock because it's the XF knock. You notice how short it is the knock throw to the carbon. The reason I do that is that I learned one thing is that the S knock can't handle any power over 90 pounds. You will
Mm.
literally compress and shatter. And at that moment, Eastern have back in 2000, no, 2007, Eastern have the Full Metal Jacket Dangerous game. And it was supposed to be the default arrow to use for big games. We're talking elephants and so on. If you look at my 2007 catalog, one of my customers shot an elephant with that. That's with a Elite GT 500 at 100. A Elite GT, no, it's a not Elite. It's oh yeah, it is a GT 500 with the 110 pound with the arrow of 1100 something grain.
Jeez.
So that tiny 204 knot had to handle that pressure, and everybody think it's impossible, but it did its job.
Yeah.
It doesn't even change shape. That's an A knock, by the way. The way I accomplish it is because I only have a tiny amount of plastic to go between the knock throw and the knock. That's the reason, like original, when you look at Easterns on their so-called injection knock. By the way, the Eastern G knock is a 166, but the injection knock is not. It's a 1665.
Okay.
So if you put a G knock on an injection, a true hunting G knock injection, the knock actually will have a very high chance of breaking
Hmm.
because it was loose. So that's the reason Eastern have come up with the injection knock, which is 1665. And the other pattern I have on the Firenock was actually an offset rib. And now let me sort of paint a mental picture in your head. Imagine a knock, the knock cylinder, which is the part that you make the knock, is a cylinder.
Yep.
Most people will put 6 ribs on it. Okay, if you look at Firenock's design, it's not 6 ribs. It's 2 supporting die line with 4 offset ribs.
Okay.
The reason for the offset rib is that means when you do not put the ribs on 60-degree apart, Mine is actually 100-degree apart. You now force the cylinder to be oval if it is not exactly the size you need.
Mm.
What it does is that in the case of a 204, you will handle a 201 all the way to 205. It
Because
gives
it's
you
span of control.
4,000 variations because as it compresses, the ovalization of the cylinder increases. Now you got a nut will fit a very big variant size. In the case of course, that was, if you look at the original pattern, it was on the 246. That's the reason the Firenock nut, the 246 nut, will fit a 242 to 247.
Jeez.
Yes. And then I also designed the A nut and the A nut, E nut, and the S nut. You notice there is a thickness on the rib. If you shape the ribs of the S nut, you hit the 240.
Oh, okay.
If you shape all the ribs off the 202, you'll fit the ACC 370, which is a 200,
Some
which is more
versatility.
like a 199.
Yeah.
So, and then the case of the E nut, you notice if you have an E nut, you know the rib is super high. This is to cover all the nuts from 200 to 235.
Jeez.
So you can see I put so much thought into that stupid piece of plastic. Sorry, that's not stupid. That's so critical piece of plastic. It's not even funny.
How many different knocks do you manufacture now?
21?
21 different knocks.
Yes.
That's a lot.
And
So,
remember, each knot covered a big range.
yeah. So, is there anything else on the physical design of the knock that you want to cover?
Oh yeah, we did not talk about the knot throat. Why is the knot throat is called a shear lock? It's a patented design. The whole idea is that some of the knot got ribs in it. They literally got ripples in the knot prong. If you got ripples in the knot prong when your string come out of your knot, that means the string will bounce between the ripples of the knot prong before it comes out. It's like putting horizontal ridges on your gun. That's not a good idea.
In the barrel. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Or you imagine you got a crossbow with holes on it, with gaps in it on your barrel. Yeah, I know. Sometimes it makes you wonder. But then some people was thinking that the double throw knock is one of the better ones because you click on it, clack, clack, clack.
Yeah.
So you grip twice and people clock it. So just in case it fall off, you have the second and third to catch it.
Yeah. They say I like that one because I can hear it click.
Yes, can you hit click, but not click, click, clack. Now you have a problem. That means every time your arrow comes out, you also make click, clack, click, click.
Yeah.
And some of the knots, just to be safe, the knot was a what do you call it, compressed knot. In other words, the prong have a well in it. In other words, you need to go through a valley, drag, then you click. So that when the string release, the string will now guide on each side of the knot. They will rub on it before it get out. It is not a problem. You know what the problem is? How do you guarantee everything gonna behave the same?
Mm,
Every time it drags, every time it pushes, it changes the behavior of that knot.
sure.
So what are the choices I made when I designed that knot? Is that I do a full like a true keyhole system. In other words, I make the string close all the way toward the string, exceeding 180 all the way then plus 20 on each side. So I'm grabbing 200, actually 200 degree, no, 180 plus 20, 220 degree over the string.
Okay.
So that when the string push out of the knot, that two closing point will be opened, right?
Yep.
Now, what happens if I do the prong at 1.7 degree offset just to be safe? The moment you push it open, the entire area of the knot more open. What is the chance of the prong touching the string? 0. So that the moment the string leaves that keyhole ledge, which I call is a shear lock, there is no more contact with the string to the knot.
Clean.
And that's the reason I insist on virgin polycarbonate, because I want the knot to behave with the string identical to every single knot you use. And which is the reason I specified on a German Macalon with the original Macalon die. Because the physical behavior do not change from color to color. The weight do not change from color to color. Because a lot of cheaper material, but if you do not really into chemistry, then you can change the color of the knot and the tightness of the knot and the throw of the knot by just changing color.
It's the same thing with the vein too.
Exactly. It's the same deal. You now just have to adjust the geometry, the curing process, and the material you bought. They are all part of the behavior of the plastic.
So is there is there a material that you could use that would be stronger but have different downsides, or is there like NOCKS seem to have been they kind of been the same for so long? Is there
Well,
any-
actually, tires have been the same so long as round. We got some wall on it, you got air in it.
there?
But the how you make it and the chemistry design, if you talk to any tire company, which I have talked to Bridgestone, one of my favorite company, those guys are beyond geek.
Your
They are
kind of
true
people.
chemistry genius.
That's your
Otherwise,
kind
you
of
can't run
people.
the tire company.
Yeah.
Yes, my kind of people. I remember the first time I had my Isuzu Impulse Turbo with a Lotus suspension. We're talking about the yawn and the wall and then the contact pack on the Pontenza RE71. Do I geeked out on that one?
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I
That's good.
really love when people know what they're talking about, listening to them. It's like a treat. It's really a treat. It's
Absolutely.
like the same thing I was talking with the guy from Valvoline about the chemical structures, sorry, we don't go into motor oil.
Yeah, let's leave that for another conversation. I think one of the coolest things about the Firenock is
Hmm.
the ability to use the same knock for whether you want a lighted knock or a regular traditional knock.
That was my whole concept. If you want to build something, why build something half-ass? Anybody who know me or have used my product will know that the Firenock knot is the best made knock bar none in the entire industry. It's expensive, don't get me wrong. The size of the knot is not the critical, the material is not the critical, it's the freaking process
Yeah.
of making it. Now imagine you got a reasonable size machine that have a surface of 8 inch by 4 inch.
Okay.
That is your mold contact surface. How many knots can you put on it? I mean, think about it. You can put up to 12 in it easily on the A knock and the G knock.
Yep.
Now you put one. What does that mean?
Takes a lot longer.
No, because the machine cycle is the same.
Yeah.
And I mean, anytime anybody who know molding and injection molding knows the more the cavity, the faster, the more efficient, the true cost goes straight down. By using a single good cavity, single mold, you typically limit yourself. Now imagine if you really squeeze it. I remember when first the knockout comes out, it's supposed to have 22 cavity on it.
Which knock?
The knockout, that was
Oh,
another like the knock.
yeah, yeah.
Because it was made out in Wisconsin, and the mold maker called me and discussed this with me. That's what I know. Think about it. The machine cut chunks, opened. There's 22 of them on that tree. Find out you got one.
Yeah. That is a
So right
big
on the
difference.
get-go, on the production cost, you just force yourself to accept the increase of 2,100% higher.
Right. Big deal.
So if assuming that you're renting a machine for say, let's stupidly say $3,000 an hour, and if you need say 100,000, so it's 100,000 divided by 22 compared to 100,000 divided by one, which is 100,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it takes, say, 5 seconds a cycle. Well, that's your engine cycle time.
Yeah.
I'm at that for that specific example, I'm accepting a 2100% increase in
Nice.
efficiency.
Yeah.
But then for the archer, how many arrows do you shoot at a time? One.
One.
When you got a dozen arrow, you want every one of your knock to be exactly the same. If you
Yeah.
follow through the left and right alignment and so on. Because see, I want to force this sentence. In archery, is finding the consistency out of inconsistent setup. That's pretty much what archery is. It's superb inconsistent environment.
Yeah. Chaos. Controlled chaos.
Yes. So you need to control as much as you can out of the variance. And the design of the knock, the alignment of the shaft, the weight of the shaft, weight of each component, weight of the vein, they are all your only thing you can control because you know your bow is already not perfect and you ain't perfect.
Nope.
The perfect guys are what on the guy would stand on the podium. And
Right.
that's not often and that's only a few.
It's not us.
You
It's
can
not
come to
us.
me out of. I mean, when I was in my 20s, my 20s, I was freaking damn good. My eyes can see everything. I can see the hair on that thing. Now, give me the glasses. Give my cheaters.
Yeah. I mean, I'm only 30 and I'm wearing glasses.
Yeah, tell me about it.
But
Part of aging.
yeah. So I think that's a good point that you made with the variables. And what we talk a lot about is I mean, it's for the more serious guy, but a lot of the stuff can be like pretty simple
Correct.
if you break it down. And if you have the
Mm-hmm.
ability to have a knock that is the same across all, why not do it? If you have the ability to have and get an arrow built from someone that each arrow is going to react the same way, why not do it?
Mm-hmm.
So eliminate.
That's the cheapest way to do it. To be
Yeah.
frank with you, I mean, that's the minimum you should. I mean, I remember the time that I talked to customers who had different length arrow, different brand arrow, different shape, size, length arrow, and they kill deer. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like, but on a side on a subject which I learned quite a bit. Do you know why the spine of the arrow is usually measured by weight and weight only
I don't.
after they tune it? Because there's no easier way. That was the reason. It costs too much.
Hmm.
It really is because I finally sit down with a few of my suppliers and I was and people I don't like to talk to, and we really say that okay, this doesn't arrow weight exactly the same. Do you guarantee me the spine is exactly the same? You know, really start pushing them. You know what they told me? It's impossible. It takes too much time to measure it. So we have to tell you that's the best we can do is by weight because measuring weight and strictness is the cheapest, faster way. Period. That means when you get a dozen arrow, I was shocked when I discovered this. So when you get a dozen arrow, even it's grain matched, you have to accept 5 to 10% plus minus on spine.
Fine. Man,
Isn't that ridiculous?
that is.
Because see, this is where the problem is. If you want to measure a spine of an arrow that you're not put on, you'll take
Right.
you no less than 5 to 10 minutes per arrow on a spine matching machine with a calculator and whatever the meter of the dial that the arrow give you. Then you know this arrow is not a 200, not the 300 spine, but more like a 291.
Yeah.
Or the arrow with the same identical grain weight can be 305, which means that you have to accept a variance of at least, I would say, 5% on the tight side. Or you can sit there with your few dozen arrow and find every single arrow would be exact spine you have.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but I thought that was because that I talked to the people who used to make gold tip and so on and have a discussion with them and find out what my intuition is correct because see, when you got the same weight which means the carbon content with the resin content. What happens if resin content is low and carbon content is high? It's
Yep.
going to be higher spine.
Yeah.
What happens if the resin content is lower compared to carbon content? It will be
Lower.
high,
Yep.
right? So I say, how can you only base on weight? He said, because that's the only way to measure it without spending time.
Hmm. That's what we're
And
given.
that was accepted practice. I mean, it's the same thing with the with this how strict the arrow is. Okay, let's leave it for another day.
So,
But then
yeah.
I was really shocked to discover it. Say, wait a minute. So if I grain match it, he said that's one of the factor. You are at least find a way to grain match your arrow to the point that they know at least the weight the same. The spine is not identical.
Wouldn't you rather have a identical spine?
Of course, you would. The only thing is that how are you going to get that answer?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Because you can put an arrow on the spine tester and you say 293 on the first dynamic band. And then you do a 90-degree turn, and then all of a sudden spine, you say 293 become 285. And then third one is 290. And then the fourth one is 281. Now you know your arrow was slightly offset because the 281 and 293, the 281 is the strongest point, which is where it should be.
yep.
And then now you need to add the four together and divide it by 4 to get your number.
Average. Yeah.
Right. That is how the arrow, when you hit it, its spine flexes. Because you're not looking for the first dynamic bend, you also for the resulting and the relaxing portion and how it do the elliptical spin and flex at the same time. So that is the true nature of the arrow in flight. That the spine number you need to, because it's not just the first dynamic bend, it's what's the effect of the arrow when it spins and flex in air.
Right.
But they're all affected by the knock. Do you know why? Because if you do not, quote unquote, square the arrow correctly and put a knock on it, the knock is going to apply pressure differently onto the shaft.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a ton of sense.
Which is also why unit bushing is no good. What happens if the unit bushing is not perfect? The pressure the knock put on the unit bushing, the pressure on the shaft is not perfectly the evenly over the entire circle surface.
Yeah. You'd have to square both.
Yes. That's the reason the knock becomes so critical. If your knock is not on the knock lip, on the throat of the neck, is not perfect, you can't trust it.
No. Yeah.
And
Well,
from cavity to cavity, it's only as good as the machine work you can do. As time goes on, the knock is going to wear differently.
oh yeah.
The
What
knock,
is
sorry, the mold on the knock is going to wear differently.
sure. What is
That's the reason I
the
pay.
what is the
Sorry.
lifespan of a Firenock? Let's just say the S knock.
I would say usually about 2 seasons without exposed to ultraviolet.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, if you shoot competition, I would say if you look at every single competition, what's the first thing they change on per shot
the
or
knock.
per any time the third hurdle is technically every other shot. I remember when Tim bought 2 bags of G-Knock for me. He only you didn't even last him a full season.
I remember when you first told me that. I was like, oh man, I've never changed a knock. But I was the guy that had a bunch of different knocks, whatever fit in my quiver.
But that's a funny thing. Imagine this. Let's exclude weight. I mean, it's just like somebody tell you need to buy tire of a specific size. So you know how many people go and say they weigh out the red tire and decided to put a new set of tires with the same size, not the same brand. First of all, you got variance in diameter. Oh, by the way, since yours is a Jeep, your truly is a Jeep owner, I learned that if you ever change 2 tires on your Jeep, especially in Grand Cherokee, you're killing your center differential
Hmm. Change them
because
all.
the system, you need to change all 4 at the same time. You can rotate the tires, but don't buy new 2 tires in the front or back. You kill your center differential. You're looking at $3,700 plus labor.
Yeah, just
I
buy the
learned that the
tires.
day that yeah, tires are cheaper than the center differential. So they tell you that because the diameter is different.
Yeah,
The knock diameter is also critical. So when you're dealing with the knock, you need to deal with it. You need to deal with the string, the knock, the arrow, and the connection for all three.
sure. So I want to leave off with two things. Number one is the knock fit. So one of the most critical points to accuracy. How do you determine if your knock fits properly on your arrow
Okay,
without knowing the serving size?
okay, that is two thoughts to it. The first thought is that people try to minimize the string effect to the knock. That means, remember we did a full episode about how the string can cause the knock to turn left or right?
Yep.
In the old days, because the connection of the knot to the string is not continuous pressure, which is no longer the case, we're all shooting 80% it off. So by in the old days, how do they minimize it? They make sure the knock will click on the string. When you tap the string, the knock fall off. By doing so, the knot is actually loose in the string. That do not work on any bow that is over 75% off. The knot need to physically click the string. And when you turn the string, the knot will slightly move with it without being forced to move. If it's forced to move, the string is too tight.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, the string is too big for the specific knot.
Okay.
And the more tight it is, the more effect on the knot, the knot throat, and the knot prong to have effect with the string. You make your arrow more inconsistent from arrow to arrow,
Sure.
because none of your knot is going to wear the same.
Right.
So ideally is that you're able to click onto the knock, you should be able to slightly turn the knock without too much pressure with the knot only. And that's the correct fit.
Okay.
By that correct fit means that the moment you release that string, the string is able to slightly turn inside the knot without giving it a knuckleball effect. And as the knot reach critical point, see, remember the string will pass the true center point and forward. Then the string is being pulled back, and the knot throw have to open to leave the string when the string bounces backwards.
Sure.
That's where the knot throw is where important is.
Okay.
Remember, the knot did not leave the string on the point of the natural center point of the string. It only do that if you got a string stop right next to it.
Yeah.
The string stop usually one below your hand, so you got about at least 5 to 6 inches of strings move forward before you come back. In the old days, it's even more because there's no string stop. That's where the string stop become important. The string stop gives the knot a cleaner release.
Okay. I did not know that. So
Why do you think I go into string stop? Because I found that out.
yeah. So the last thing I want to lead off with is color. So specifically lighted nocks. This is something we've talked about a little bit in the past, but people are always asking, what color should I get? And
Okay,
the answer is not necessarily which one your favorite is.
no. Actually, I learned that from the optometry school out of Indiana University. Just like you notice that when I want to ask, I want to add expert and ask once and get the absolute most accurate answer available at the time.
Right.
We human will pick our human eyes are colored eyes.
Yep.
That's the reason I would say whenever I ask people, are you colorblind? For a very important reason, because then the best not color may not be the color you need. Since majority of us are not colorblind, the best color for all times is red, which is also the reason the tail light of every single vehicle is red. You also notice one thing, our eyes will catch motion of light rather than solid of light.
Sure. Yep.
At the same time, a blinking light will also always be more visible than a solid light. Let me give you an example. If you got a lighter knock, or say an A knock, you can block that with a 3/8 inch branch and you won't be able to see it. But a blinking light will give you a 2 meter halo of light
because of the strobe.
because the strobe, all the surrounding area will now light up, light up, light up. And then a 3/8-inch twig will block your view from the lighting up on the ground in total darkness.
That makes sense.
Because a halo of a constant red is not that visible.
Yeah.
Especially when you use a flashlight. The moment you go swing by, it floods
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. That's interesting. So red is the number one overall best
Correct.
for all times. What about morning,
In the morning, red is the only color.
evening?
Because when the sun comes up, it will bleed out every color. And a lot of people say, oh, I see green the best. Green and blue green is one of the best color you have as long as you shade over the light.
Or it's evening.
Why do you think every single traffic light got a big shade on it?
Yeah.
Because if you went through a storm or whatever, and the shade of the traffic light is gone, you can't see the green light under sunlight.
Yeah.
That's exactly. Just like if you want to question whether green light is the best under sun, take your sight pin. Most people vertical bow. What's the first 20-yard pin? It's a green.
Yep.
Now drop the bow until the sunlight shine on that green pin. You can't see it. It disappeared.
Right.
Because the sun bleeds it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
and for peripheral vision, that means when you want to see something on the side of your eyes,
orange.
The best color is orange.
And
which explains why every single side marker light is orange.
Yeah, every light on the side of your car is orange. It makes sense.
Yes, it's not yellow, it's orange.
Yeah.
And some people say yellow, but yellow is in some cases is less intrusion than orange.
Okay. What if you are someone that's colorblind?
Well, then of course that's reason you need to think about it. If you're a red-green colorblind, then of course blue is your only color. Oh, by the way, blue is the worst color you can possibly have.
Not very bright.
It's only work in total darkness. If there's any light blue, you can't see. Because blue had to fight every single spectrum before you see it.
Yeah.
If you look at the entire color spectrum of visible light, blue is on the opposite end.
Yeah.
For that exact reason.
And it's kind of like blue is a lot of people's favorite color. And they're like, I want blue NOCKS. Like,
well, they can always buy whatever they want. Whether they can see is a different story.
Yeah.
And I'll tell them, I did told you blue is not the best. Just like a customer bought a blue blinking this morning. What I'm going to say, you'll find out.
And
blue
I'm
blinking
sure
is the only part that blue blinking work is that after the hunt is over, now you got your friend. Hopefully, there's no moon above you. That's the only time it worked. Hey,
I'm sure it'll work good enough. Probably, maybe not
with
but...
my system. Most of them will work good enough, and sometimes whatever you like, you like. I read I actually watching a very interesting video about how the Japanese guy come up with the blue LED. It is an extreme case of perseverance. I was beyond impressed.
I'm sure
but that's until we got blue LED, we don't get white. You know that.
No, I didn't.
Until we got blue LED, there's no chance we got white. That's reason until the blue LED come out, we won't even have white LED, which is our new light bulbs and something that's all white. But until you got the blue, you're not gonna get white.
Well, thank
red
God
is the easiest to get.
Thank God for that guy then.
Yes, actually, the whole idea that we have now, like our light bulb inside the house, the car, and so on, all because of that guy. Without him, we were stopped at green.
Yeah.
Literally.
When you go from a lighted knock, just Firenock, a knock or S knock, what is the weight difference between the regular knock and then with the circuit board and battery?
First of all, right on the get-go, you need to deal with the battery. The battery, we currently sell two type of battery. The BR battery is more like 11 grain, and the BL is more like a 9 grain. Okay. Now, they say, well, what's the difference? Because there's chemistry, density, and chemistry. So if people mix the batteries, the same as mixing stuff, that is going to be weight variance. Yeah. So don't mix your battery and use the same batch. Yes, if you decide to use BL to BL, there's 2 grain difference. The BL to the BU, that's about 3 grain difference. From BU to BX, that's 5 grain difference.
What's the lightest?
because the lightest is the BL.
Okay.
No, no, yeah, the BU. BU is the lightest.
BU.
That's the original Panasonic, which is the national battery, it's called. Panasonic in the rest of the world used to call national, except they make a lot of people unhappy.
Mm, sure.
So you change the word Panasonic.
So when the S knock, for example, this is what, 9 grains?
The S knot of a Firenock is actually 7 grain,
7, and the A knock is 6,
5.
5. So,
The E knot is 6.
and then when you go lighted
When
in
you
the
put
S
the
knock,
27
27 with which battery?
with the BL battery, because
BR.
that's why we first start selling.
And then the A knock lighted,
21. That's
21.
with not battery, circuit, and cap. But
And
then
so,
you need to understand the Firenock knock weight. In the case of the A knock, is actually only 12 grain effective on a 29-inch arrow. Do you know why?
no.
You don't think weight as weight only. You need to think effective weight. You're dealing with an arrow. As the weight moving to the end, it get heavier. As it move into the center, it get lighter.
And it's
Where's
pretty
the
long.
final battery?
Sure, it's further in.
2 inch further. That's reason the effective weight of a Firenock on a 29-inch arrow, based on a 430 grain, is only about 12 grain compared to the actual weight 20.
I see what you mean there.
Isn't that interesting? It is not
is.
just the weight.
Yeah.
And that's the reason a lot of people say, oh, I'll glue some BBs inside the shaft of the nock and make them weight the same. Instead
It'll
of
be in the
buying the
same
Firenock
spot.
match weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, not in the same spot with the same weight.
Yeah. Well, the more you know.
There's a lot more to it, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's good. I think that rehashes a lot about the knock and the importance of it. Like George said in the beginning of this episode, when you think knock, think tires. And you can't go anywhere without tires. So if you have any more questions for Dorge, his email is always in the description link. Anything exciting coming up for you, Dorge? Any traveling or TAC events or anything like that?
Oh, yes, I'm going to have to be in the two-tech event. And after the last time in the NFAA Indoor Championship, I'm coming with a whole new series of products.
I remember
I
you
got to
saying
talk
that.
to quite, yes, I'm going to have a 5, 6, and 700 166 spine Firenock arrow whip shafts.
That's pretty exciting.
Yes, because that's what most people use. And for all the outdoor people, I also have the arrow bever system coming up.
Cool.
Do you remember what a bever is?
No, I should. So you asked me this already.
Yeah, the bever is the piece of armor that go on
That's
a
right.
knight on the neck.
That's right.
So the arrow bever is going to be the piece of armor I put on the back of the 166.
Just in case someone shoots it.
No, it's not in case they will hit it.
Sure.
Because if you have 4 people shooting the same target at 60 meters, that's 20 arrow in that 4-inch circle. They will hit each other. Absolutely guarantee. It's not a if.
Yeah.
That's the reason I had to come up with that thing.
Well, that should help some folks out and should probably hurt some other folks.
Yep, and I improved on the arrow. I did the generation 4 of the Firenock arrow ABSSJ arrow bow serving jig in twin drag system. I relocated the eyelet. I'm very impressed with it. Yes, it cost me $30,000, but I just can't accept imperfection.
Well, hopefully you sell the shit out of them to make that up.
Well, I sure hope so, but that was not my concern. My concern is that I want a product that's perfect.
Sure. Well, all right, Dorge. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for the education. And until next
I do
time,
my
we'll see you.
best. Okay.